You're listening to the Back Porch Talk podcast. Danny and Jason had many discussions and debates on the back porch while making pivotal investment moves with assets. That's right, with trading cards. They welcome you to the back porch and right into those discussions about current sports news with a fresh and unique twist. So come on and join us. Welcome to the Back Porch Talk podcast. I'm your co-host, Jason.
Your co-host, Danny.
Fans, we got a fire show for you today. We're going to talk about the NBA Finals or this LIV versus PGA. We're going to talk a little bit about this. And then we got an interesting surprise for you. But first, Danny, to the NBA Finals, and where the Golden State Warriors are up 3-2. Big game tonight in Boston, but man, in game 5, the Golden State Warriors prevailed 104-94 off an incredible game by Andrew Wiggins, man. 26 points, 13 rebounds by Andrew Wiggins. And let me just say, Clay came through with 21. Steph had an off night. Shooting wise, 16 points. I'm gonna tell you this too, Danny. I remember seeing on NBA TV the pregame warm up by Steph Curry, and he made me tired. I'm like, man, you working? That's a workout, man, that you're doing for your pregame. I think it kind of showed up in his legs. He didn't have any legs, man. A lot of his jumpers were short and everything. So he may need to tamp down a little bit on the legs, but I don't know. He called himself King Petty, based upon what the Boston Celtics or the Boston community have said about his wife Aisha not being able to cook. But I'm pretty certain King Petty, Steph Curry, gonna come up in there and be a chef. So we'll see about game 6 tonight, Danny. But man, awesome game 5. I think this opens the door for an awesome game 6. I think Golden State gonna win tonight, man.
Oh man,
I'm going to Golden State tonight, man. I think Chef Curry is gonna be cooking. King Petty is gonna be cooking, man. Not only that, Danny, I think Golden State doesn't want to go game 7. Anything can happen in game 7. I'm hearing that Jason Tatum's minutes may be cut a little bit, maybe cut in quarters 1 through 3, so that way he can have some legs, be fresher in the fourth quarter. Because they're going to need him. But I think the Golden State Warriors realizes that the trophy, the Larry O.B. trophy, is in the building. The Bill Russell MVP award is in the building. I think Golden State's going to go ahead and knock them off, man. What say you, Danny?
Jason, this series has not disappointed at all. This is why I was looking forward to the series, man, because Boston, has length. They have the wings, and the Warriors are more of a smaller team, but they can run the ball up and down the court with their guards. Andrew Wiggins is having his coming out party here, and he has saved them actually these last 2 games.
Oh, most definitely.
His offensive rebounding in particular, and him being aggressive. So Andrew Wiggins has always had that. And that was one of the reasons Minnesota, I don't want to say gave up on him, but he just never had that assertiveness. And if you remember back when Jimmy Butler was in Minnesota, that was one of his gripes with Andrew Wiggins, was his assertiveness and caring and being, having that will to win. And now he's actually showing that now. And the Warriors have something here with Wiggins, and they're going to need him definitely tonight in order to pull this off. But they're going to need Steph to get off tonight, like you mentioned, in particular, because, he was off. For them to pull that game out like they did with him being as broke as he was, that was huge. I think the one thing, though, man, is Boston is at home. They kind of struggle a little bit at home in the playoffs. But in particular with this one, I think they pull it out tonight. I would like to see Golden State win, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do, because like you said, you do not want to go to a game 7 And these games have been very tight. And it's just been a couple possessions here, there. Like in game 5, they had that technical with Marcus Smart and then coach from Boston, Imudoku. Just a couple swings here and there. Boston could have won that game in game 5. I am looking forward to a good game tonight, and I would not be surprised if Golden State wins, but I'm thinking Boston whole serve, and then they head back to Golden State for Golden State to close out the series in 7.
I'm going to tell you this, Danny. Kevon Looney got in there, played 2 minutes, and had 3 fouls.
Mm-hmm.
And that just really messed him up the entire game in game 5. I don't think that's going to be the case in this particular game. I think Kevon Looney is going to actually be out there for a few more minutes and won't get into foul trouble. So I think he's going to be a little bit more impactful in this particular game. Otto Porter Jr. didn't have a great game, 2 points, played 15 minutes or what have you. But I think Kevon Looney is going to be a difference maker here in this particular game. Gary Payton II, man, 15 points, 26 minutes. He's going to get some. Well. He's been playing very well, man. I think he's going to get even more minutes this particular game. They really want to close this one out. I think with his athleticism and I think in his defense.
His defensive presence has been
it's
huge.
Been outstanding. And I think what Golden State did was they actually forced Tatum and Brown a little bit left. And unless Tatum and Brown magically found their left hand, it's going to be the same situation. But I think this is going to be a more contested game. I think Golden State realizes it, but I think there's going to be some unsung heroes in this particular game, man. That's going to really step up. This is going to be awesome. This is going to be awesome. All right, Danny, just into a little NBA news. Interesting trade actually happened. Christian Wood is traded to the Dallas Mavericks, man. A first round 26 pick and a few other players, man. Danny, let me just say this real quick. Obviously, this is in preparation for the draft that is coming up for the NBA. But this move is fantastic, in my opinion, by the Dallas Mavericks. We know Christian Wood from the days when he was with the Milwaukee Bucks and how Giannis and him would go at it.
Yep.
How they really pushed each other. And we've seen Wood in Detroit. We've seen what he had done in Houston now. And I think this is going to match up and pair very well with Luka, Hardaway Jr., and the other pieces that Dallas has. So, man, watch out for Dallas, man. I think this is a move that could really, really help them. Now, would that put them over the top against Golden State? No. Not with what Golden State has waiting for them. But it's going to make Dallas a lot more competitive. What say you, Danny?
Yeah, the trade was a shock. We've seen a couple rumors out here, as we prepare for the NBA draft next week. Thursday, a holiday for some of us. This one came out of left field. I had no idea. And then we saw it come through on the wire. And I think that gives them a presence down low. So, they have Powell. They have Bertans, they have Kleber, but they don't have any post game. Nope. They're all outside the third, 3-point line. That's where they live. So Christian Wood actually gives them a presence down low because he can create his own shot down low and he can feed off Luka. So it's actually, I think, a great fit and Christian Wood. I thought they had something going with Houston based on what they did this season, with the young talent with Jalen Green and those guys. But it's a great move for him, man, to go from Houston where they're rebuilding and, kind of building from the ground up to Dallas, who's a contender.
And now, Danny, on to the LIV versus PGA. Man, it's a whole lot about this LIV golf in the events that have happened. But LIV, LIV, for those of you who do not know, is now a competitor to the PGA Professional Golf Association Tour. LIV has really poached a lot of the popular golfers from the PGA, and the PGA has responded by suspending those golf players who have actually gone over to LIV. LIV is actually sponsored and controlled by Saudi Arabia, and where they actually have this investment fund that basically offers large payouts. So LIV actually had the inaugural event in London, in where the winner gets $4 million. In this particular case, the winner is Charles Schwartzel. Got $4 million to second place, and this is according to the African American Golfers Digest. The second place winner gets $2.125 million. In this case was Henny Duplessis. Third place winner gets $1.5 million. And it goes down the line, and where the last place winner gets $120,000.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, but in these tournaments by LIV, they only play 54 holes versus that of the PGA Tour, where they play 72 holes. So 3 days versus 4 days. Not only that, but LIV actually has this team event payout system, in where the winning team gets got $3 million. The second place team got $1.5 million, and the third place team got $500,000. So basically, LIV has some deep pockets, man. And not only we're talking about the prize money, but these golfers actually get just a lump sum of money just for them in terms of coming over to LIV. So a lot of golfers have actually turned in their PGA cards, man.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Danny, I was trying to figure out what in the hell is the PGA doing to these golfers. Mm-hmm. And so this forced me to kind of do some more research in terms of what's the problem? What are the issues that the PGA has with the golfers? Or what are the PGA golfers saying about the issues that the PGA has on them? Mm-hmm. And so in doing some research, I found this intriguing article by Sports Illustrated, man. This was dated back in February of this year. And they actually interviewed Phil Mickelson, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to read an excerpt here from Sports Illustrated, giving them the proper respect, and the article was by Bob Herrick, and I just thought that this was a fascinating read, man. And this is a quote from Phil Mickelson, and I quote, "It's not public knowledge all that goes on, but the players don't have access to their own media. If the tour," talking about the PGA Tour, "wanted to end any threat, they could just hand back the media rights to the players. But they would rather throw $25 million here and $40 million there than give back the roughly $20 billion in digital assets they control, or give up access to the $50+ million they make every year on their own media channel. There are many issues, but that is one of the biggest. For me personally, it's not enough that they are sitting on hundreds of millions of digital moments. They also have access to my shots, access I do not have. They also charge companies to use shots I have hit. And when I did the match, there have been 5 of them. The tour forced me to pay them $1 million each time for my own media rights." That type of greed is, to me, beyond obnoxious.
Mm-hmm.
And just to kind of provide some context here, in terms of the match that Phil Mickelson was referring to, the first two of those matches actually involved Tiger Woods. The first edition was played in Vegas in 2018, was at first to be a winner-take-all purse of $10 million, but the PGA Tour stepped in and made the organizers reduce the number to $9 million because it didn't want the prize to equal the amount that was then given to the FedEx Cup champion. Danny, man, I did not notice. So Phil goes on to say, I'm not sure how this is going to play out. My ultimate loyalty is to the game of golf and what it has given me. He further goes on, talking about he doesn't know where it's headed. He says the media rights are but a small fraction of everything else. And it is towards obnoxious greed that has really opened the door for opportunities elsewhere. Danny, this is a mess, man. This is a mess. I did not know. And thank you, Bob Herrick, who was the author of the article for Sports Illustrated. Hey, man, Danny, I did not know that the PGA Tour had such a on these moments.
Mm-hmm.
And on their assets.
Yep.
That is huge, man. And these golfers that are going to LIV, they're getting paid more than what they have won in their careers.
Yep.
In the first year. So let me just say, there's obvious issues with the human rights. There are concerns with people getting killed, in particular journalists, and we definitely send our thoughts and prayers to that family and those families. But Danny, in reading the article and reading what the PGA is doing here, and it really reminded me about NBA Top Shot and those digital moments, right?
Yep.
And I immediately thought, wow, this is something that I think the NBA got right.
Mm-hmm.
You had the NBA Top Shot, Dapper Labs.
Yep.
And then you had the NBA and the Players Association. And I think that was key, to have some kind of meeting, to have some kind of middle ground where you have the union of the players to come together. And now they're going to have the unions of the retirement players and stuff.
Yeah.
To come together and figure out a contract deal for licenses to these moments that are owned by, in a sense, the NBA, produced and made by the NBA players themselves.
Yep.
Golf doesn't have that. And so there's a whole lot of money that is being left on the table for these golfers.
Yes.
But the PGA Tour, sure enough, is profiting off of this, man. What say you, Danny?
Jason, this whole thing is wild. And you got to look at, it kind of reminds me, after reading the article as well, of artists and musicians and owning their masters. So that's what I equate it to, right? You want to own your masters. You've done the work. You should have the right to own your masters, right? And obviously there's these deals that are now becoming public due to some lights are being shined on the PGA, for one. And these golfers are exposing that. So you look at Dustin Johnson, for example. He's another one that joined. He gets a signing bonus of $150 million to
Come on, man.
just join the league. They have 8 tour dates.
Come on, man.
He gets a chance to make a lot of money at these events, playing less holes, which is less wear and tear on his body. Some people may not see that as much because it's golf, but it can take a toll on your body, all the torquing and twisting, your knees, your back, and everything, shoulders. You have that, and it's one of those things now that the PGA has a problem.
Yeah,
because Bryson DeChambeau is another one.
Yep, got paid.
And who's to say who's next, right?
Yeah, yep.
It's an opportunity in being a capitalist, right? You're taking your talents and you see others doing it and they're making all this money. You're over here on the PGA Tour and you're not making that money. So there's a lot that's about to come out. This is just starting to simmer to start boiling in a minute.
Hey, man, Danny, let me read this excerpt from the same article here. It says the tour did also charge a rights fee to those putting on the event. As Mickelson noted, players assigned their media rights to the PGA Tour upon taking membership, a stipulation that went into effect more than 50 years ago when players led by Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus, and Bob Goldby broke from the PGA of America and eventually formed the PGA Tour. Because the tour owns a player's media rights, it can extract a fee whenever those players appear on television outside of a PGA Tour event. It is why also players are required to receive releases, effectively permission, for playing in competing events, such as this week's tournament on the Asian Tour, which is staged opposite the PGA Tour's AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am.
Yep.
This is a damn shame, man. Mickelson cited his famous shot at the par 5 13th hole during the final round of the Masters in 2010, which set up a birdie on his way to a third green jacket. According to Mickelson, a user who wanted to show a clip of that shot was required to pay $30. Check this out, Danny. According to Mickelson, a user who wanted to show a clip of that shot was required to pay $30,000 per second. Augusta National owns the rights to the Masters footage. Danny.
Big business, man. This is
crazy,
business.
man. This is crazy. Now, this puts things into perspective of what Phil and others are trying to do and trying to leverage. But just as we talk about what these professional golfers are doing, Danny, I want to take a moment and ask the question to the African American golfers associations. Is it time for you to form your own golf league? What prompted that question, Danny, I remember earlier in the week looking for information on this LIV, right?
Yeah.
LIV. And I'm thinking that it was going to be, front and center on the African American Golfers Digest webpage, and it wasn't. It was further down. It has since moved up and everything a little bit here. But it really prompted me to ask the question about a black golf league. I mean, if LIV can do this, right? And we're talking about now, man, media rights. I mean, I think we're to a point where you can just use, I don't know, Facebook Live. You can use, I mean, there's a plethora of streaming opportunities that a Black Golfing Association could actually use to really showcase their golf tournaments. I think they're sponsors that would be willing to sponsor this Black Golf Association. I don't know. I'm just thinking. I think what LIV has done is open the minds that we can go ahead and do something. Now, granted, they got deeper pockets.
Yep.
They don't have a TV deal.
Yep.
They have deeper pockets and such, but nonetheless, man, I think this may open up the opportunity. The only thing is, I don't know how much people would actually physically go and watch.
Mm-hmm.
So ticket sales and stuff at the gate probably won't be as much. I know it won't be as much, if you will. What about these HBCU golfers coming out?
Mm-hmm.
Where do they go after they graduate? You know, I think there's some opportunities here, Danny. What say you?
Yeah, Jason, I think just in general, man, it's going to open some eyes to figure out how funding can happen to make up different leagues. And I think it just takes one star, right? And it could be someone that in our day and age is someone that goes viral. Someone does something to just bring that attention to a new league like you're proposing. But you need that because golf, since Tiger Woods has kind of fallen off,
Yep,
it was, in the spotlight. And now this is happening because it's more of a money grab.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of different dynamics going on here. But all in all, golf is a long sport. And for those who play it, obviously they enjoy it and understand the time commitment. And it takes a long time to watch a tournament.
Yeah.
And with how today's day and age is too, everything's very quick. So that's why you need someone to have that attention like Tiger.
Mm-hmm.
If you're starting a league like you're proposing, because otherwise it's going to be hard to get those dollars to support that league and get the backing behind it. I'm very curious to see what happens now, and I can definitely see other things popping up here with golf. Especially if they start dismantling the PGA, because you're kind of getting this with this old this mentality from back in the day is no longer today. So if you look at college football, they might have to change how things have always been. They're going to have to pivot, and are they going to split things off and do? So there's all these different things over the next couple of years may shift, and depending on who's involved and who has this money, may change how the landscape looks going forward.
And finally, Danny, let's just say Dion may have done it again. Coach Prime may have done it again. They are going to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Mm-hmm.
I just gotta say this, man, real quickly. Kudos to Jackson State. Kudos to Coach Prime for making the cover of Sports Illustrated. I know it's going to give them even more exposure than what they have and all. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's an opportunity not only for Jackson State, but it's an opportunity for all of HBCU football and all. We'll see what happens. I think it's going to offer more recruits possibly to go to Jackson State, and just be honest. But nonetheless, I think this is a great opportunity. What say you, Danny?
Seeing Coach Prime on the cover, it just put a smile on my face, man. I just looked when we first started talking about this once he went to Jackson State and his impact and what he's been doing since he's been there. Mm-hmm. This is what I'm talking about. You get someone like Dion. He understands the marketing. He understands the ins and outs. Mm-hmm. He is the perfect person. Bring things to the forefront to the point of now he has Jackson State ahead of the season on the cover of SI with his son and Travis Hunter. Mm-hmm. And there's some other pictures in there, which if you go online, you can check them out. Mm-hmm. But it just shows you, man, what he's doing here. And he continues to try to trailblaze from the HBCU community to the NFL and bringing eyes to these universities is nothing but positive. And that's where it has to stay.
Right.
Where it could be revenue generating, opportunities. Congratulations. It's awesome, like I said, because we've been talking about it since he's been around, and just see the progress since he's been there, since he rolled up into the press conference to where he is today, and the voice he has for the student athletes to try to break down those barriers and some of those roadblocks that may be in place now, that are in place now, to push forward and keep moving ahead, man, with a smile on his face.
Yep. Thank you for joining us at Back Porch Talk Podcast. You can also join us on Twitter by tweeting us at @back_podcast. For more information, you can go to our website, which is backporchtalkpodcast.com. You can also email us at backporchtalkpodcast@gmail.com. Again, thank you for joining us, and remember that there's enough hate in the world, so go ahead and spread a little love.